Hello guys, welcome again to my channel. Please do not forget, it is entirely and totally free of charge. Do not forget to click the subscribe button and also click on the notifications to get our lot of free notifications. If you've not watched my other videos on reading CSV and reading.NET CSV and CDF files, all are in my channel. Please subscribe. Now today we'll be seeing how to plot a three-dimensional plot or images in Python. It is as easy as steps. So how we start it, we simply go to a new Python script. Now we'll go to a new Python script and I just call this 3D underscore plot. So I hit. Now in plotting 3 dimensions, there are certain modules that we will definitely import, just like we have done in our previous discussion or in our previous videos. Now one of the major of course there are different modules that we can use to plot our 3 dimensions images or plots, and so one of these we will be using today is the mplot 3D. And it's not so far different from what we've been doing, but it's just to change the projections, because there is a sub-module that is imported when we process that keyword projection in our ASICS function in Python. And so we start by saying let's import our regular day-to-day toolkit that Python needs to run it. So we say we import this guy, but this time we do not import it as plot as we normally do, but not plot, sorry, we import it as, I don't know why I was writing plot, so we import it as mplot 3D. Now definitely we are going to need other modules like numpy, and so we import this as numpy, as np, and as well we definitely would need matplotlib, as we often import this, and so we say import as plt. This is how we normally do. Now when we run this, okay, so what should be our error now? I said from, sorry, instead of import. That's why we're having syntax error, because it does not see numpy as from. So now what we do now, it's our regular thing we do. It's now we are going to build a figure. Now we are building a figure as we normally do. We say Python plot this figure. Now if we run this script, we are going to get a 2-dimensional figure, which when we say plot, I think I didn't show this plot, that's why it's not showing me. Oh come on, I have index problem, indentation error. So when I plot this, I think this should have plotted a figure. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see figure size. Come on, we change the figure size to let's say we normally take let's just take 7,5, and so okay, I don't know why this is not showing, but let's see. Okay, should have shown us a figure, but it should be a 2-dimensional figure, but I do not know why it's not showing a 2-dimensional figure. But nevertheless, we continue, and when we hit the axis of this figure to say axis, now what we do is, okay, now what we do is when we hit this, sorry, I think this was my error, I have not built the axis. So when we hit the axis, what was I thinking? Sorry. So when we build the axis, we get a 2-dimensional array. So we can I normally do this so as to increase my resolution of this. I just always like to leave it at 150. This is my favorite. I think this time 150 is too much, so we can just decide to leave it at our 80, which was almost our default. So now this time we have a two-dimensional, so what we just need to do is to change our projection in this case. Now when we change the projection, we say Python make this projection to be a 3D. Now when we run this now, Python is going to see and allocate this into a 3D. So I think this is smaller, so we can change this to 10. So we have something nicer. So now we've been able to build a 3-dimension, and so a 3-dimensional with just the projection module. Now, so what do we do? It's let us build inside this. Let us just take a random variables, or build a random variables to plot something in this graph. So let us start by calling this. I'll just call this able. I'm sorry, I have to use part of my name at the beginning. So now what we are doing is we could either use python.np.arrange in this case, or we could even use our line space command that gives us a value of from 0. We can say from 0, let's just say 20, and let's just say 200. So, or we can decide to say we can decide to say 2000. Yeah, whatever, let's just work with this. Now we have this now, so we build another one. I always like to use again. Okay, I forgot Cane is not starting with. So we do the same thing for Cane. So what we just do is we are just building a variable. Now remember that I'm just showing you with this how to plot a variable on this 3D, because in our next video I'm going to be showing you how to even use our .csv file or data that we read in our .csv and .net CDF to plot powerful interpolations graphs on this 3D. And even later I'm going to show you how to even plot movable 3D that you can even move around in all coordinates, this 3D in Python. But now while we continue still on building on the line space, we have still we can decide to say np. We can decide to say sign. We use a sign. Now we say sign of this able. So what this does is that Cane, we can also decide to build a line space for this, but we can also decide to say let Cane be the sign of whatever it's going to be here. And let's call this, I don't know, if your name happens to be one of these, please pardon me, because it seems it's the name that came up to my to my head at the moment. So I can also use Vivian. So I use Vivian, and I will say we also use Vivian take able. And now take able. So what I do is now it's time to plot. So I'm using, now take note, I'm using plot 3D. Now if you see that I'm using a capital letter for my dimensions, and so what I do now is I'm not using a small letter, a small d, because I imported, remember Python as m, I imported the toolkit as mplot.3d as a small, but I'm using, this is what Python understands. And so when we hit again, we already have Cane, and we already have, okay, come on, Vivian. And so when we hit this guy, we should have when we hit run, we should have a 3D plot in this case. So we can decide to say change this guy to green. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it can definitely change this guy to green, so we can decide to change it to any color we want. So we just leave it at sometimes I always prefer to use red because it makes more sense. So now we've at least have certain variables that we define that builds a 3D plot, line plot or sign plot, sinusoidal plot in our 3D plot. So we can as well even decide to do something a bit more complex to at least make the variables or define variables complex. So I can decide to say able again, define another variable underscore 1, and I do the same line space here, but this time, or I just decide to say let's make this guy 20 multiply a random dots. Now what I'm telling this guy to do now is I'm telling him to look into this value of a value of 200. I'm telling him to look into a value of 200, and I'm telling him to to select random values. Now this is just a summary of it, to select random values from this 200 values for able. Now I'll do the same thing for Kane, but underscore 1. But this time, remember we already used np dot we used a sign, and so I do sign, and I say just type it. No need. Let's not act to be lazy. So I just use dot able. Now, so I can even make this complex. I can even either say oh, come on. I can even decide to make it even more complex to say 0.2, then multiply this by a random again. I'm just trying to, of course, we can decide to do anything we like. I'm just making this a bit more the variable more complex, and so we can say 200. Oh, come on. Thought I covered it. Yeah. So I do the same for Vivian. If I do the same for Vivian, so I can just decide to copy the same thing for Vivian. I think we are doing the same thing, but this time I was using a course for Vivian. So I touched. Oh, good. Let's hope this works. Oh, still not working. Okay, I just take because I hit. Okay, we just continue. I'll solve that later. So I say cos. I'll do the same thing for this guy. Good. So at the end, I just have to hit this time. I can decide to say, now I can decide to do the same what I did here, but this time I can decide to say scatter. Do not forget our 3D, and so I say all that you did here. So you just say able. Come on, able. Oh, able underscore 1, Kane underscore 1, and _1. And so when I hit this, and so when I run this, I should have a nice similar plot, but this time a scattered plot. So now as you can see, so this is just a scattered plot of what we have. So we can decide to even manipulate this. We can decide to manipulate the C map of this guy. Let's see if it shows us anything nice. We can say, let's just use hot and say and cover this and say, oh, I forgot this. So it doesn't really change anything. So let's see, do we have anything like reds? We just say blue. If this works. We already have blue, but nevertheless we can as well decide to customize later. So now along the line, so we can even decide to plot this in a surface plot to see from a surface plot. We can decide to interpolate this. We can decide to do a lot of beautiful things. In my next video, I'm going to show you how. In my later video, I'm going to show you how to even import this data that we already saw from .csv or from netcdf or whatever data you're given, how to interpret or retrieve this data to plot on a 3D with a powerful visualized 3D plot. And so I hope you join us in our next videos to come. Thank you, and please subscribe and join and support.